Okay, Roland, so this is the first episode of Scrum and Disorderly. The idea was that we'd enjoy a few beers and talk about rugby for a couple of reasons. This is going to go down like a bucket of sick.
Yeah.
Slauncher, by the way, it's St. Paddy's Day. It's the day after Super Saturday. First reason, last night I got absolutely ming-monged, so this is going to be a struggle to drink. More so, however, what a shit show yesterday, being, if you're Welsh.
Yeah, it was just a Saturday, wasn't it? It wasn't a Super Saturday. No, like I think it makes it worse because after the Ireland game and the Scotland second half, I guess, there's a lot of optimism. I've been saying since October 2023, today's the day, and I actually announced it yesterday in a function I was at. I said, well, mark my words, I'm experienced enough, I've been around rugby long enough. Today is the day. Wales are going to win. But luckily I didn't go back after.
Yeah, we didn't put too much money on that.
Oh, God, no.
I felt positive, I'll be honest. I was quite positive going into yesterday. As you say,
yeah.
Scotland seemed a bit of a blip after a good game against Ireland.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at bringing in a new coach. Sherratt always said it wasn't an audition. It's not something he was looking at, and I don't think he'd be in with a look now anyway. Can any coach make a difference? If you had the best coach in the world, how deep are the problems?
Yeah, look, we don't know, but there's always an impact with a new coach anyway, and you can see that with Sherratt. After the game yesterday, when he got interviewed, and they asked him, have you got second thoughts? Would you like to take his job on? And it is the quickest no I've ever heard any coach say. But look, the problem won't be. It's not the top end. It's not the coach. It's not changing a coach is not going to change a lot. Do you mean it's going to change some? But no, there's a lot of restructure to do, and that's. It's not something that, this time next year we'll be winning Six Nations. You've got to look further down the line, maybe 5 years plus. Do you mean? So no, there's, unfortunately, but there's just a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you've seen the highs and lows as an international player. Part of the coaching setup, you've experienced success and lows.
Yeah.
The picture yesterday of Adam Jones's face painted, we all felt his pain. What are those players and coaches going through right now?
Yeah, look, I had definitely been there as well. We had a similar Six Nations when I was coaching with Gareth Jenkins. Fortunately for us, we did turn it around and we beat England in the last game, which, obviously we took it in our stride. We just did the open top bus from Cardiff, and no, we didn't. But no, look, it is tough, and you self-reflect, to look to see could you do anything better, but. I think there's so much rebuilding to do. I think that Sherratt did a great job in the short space of time. I listened to his post-match interviews, and he's a sharp cookie. I think he would have, if he hadn't already expressed that he wasn't interested in taking the job on. I'm sure what the Welsh public would have been more than happy if he would have taken on the challenge, but he'd already expressed he wasn't. So, yeah, there's a lot of rebuilding, a lot.
So where do you go here, coaching wise? We put out on the socials, put Matt Sherratt as a possibility. Yeah. Michael Sheck, one we didn't put out actually was Sean Edwards. A couple of people mentioned on the comments. Have you got any preferences?
Hang on, let me check my phone. You never know. No, I don't. Because, I think like everybody, you want to, there's no magician out there, like South Africa have got an outstanding team. They've got a, really big, experienced physical team, the best front row in world rugby, and then the bench is the second best front row. So they've got all the ammunition. So to coach that team, you're more or less a manager than a coach. Yeah, you're going to coach it, but you know what I mean. You just got to make sure that you keep all these experienced players happy. We haven't got that luxury. We've got so many young players coming through. So as a coach, I'd like to see a Welsh coach. People will question the fact, well, who? I've been a bit of a championing Ron McBride. Who's now in Leinster, because he was part of the successful era of Warren Gatland, and he's been there. He led a tour to Tonga and Samoa, and they won those games. So, and he's got that Welsh. He's a Welsh speaker. He's got passion for Wales. You know, you've got to find somebody now who's got a passion to take it on, not just because they want to just be successful, which is obviously the ultimate dream, but you have to really buy into the culture and buy into how you're going to change things.
How about Steve Tandy throwing a local boy's hat into the ring?
Yeah, Steve's done really well. Really well. You know, his acceleration in the coaching world has been outstanding. Yeah, I'm sure that's somebody. I can't see. I don't know. I'm not speaking out of turn, but I can't see any of those boys who are in position wanting to change until the World Cup. I know there's a couple of years to go before then, so I think you need to. I don't think those either somebody who's coming to an end of contract or somebody who's. And we know we spoke with Czech guy. People have mentioned him. He's out at the end of the season with Leicester. Ronald Gara is another one who's struggling a bit at the moment with the famous French team that I can't remember the name of that he coaches. But again, you know, I preferably like to see somebody Welsh who lives in Nice, just next to no. Been there, done that.
Yes, you wouldn't fancy taking.
Oh no, I've.
You're not coaching at the moment, are you?
No. You
fancy getting back to at some point?
Well, after putting out 8,000 applications and getting nothing back, no, it's not. Like coaching isn't sort of turn up, do an interview before a game and do an interview after, or and be on the pitch and be seen to be sort of animated and how you are. It's not about that. It's about what you drive home, you're thinking about it. Yeah, you get home, you think about it. You realise that you're thinking about it so much, you're going to the next door's house, you're going to go out and come back into your house and you're thinking about it, you don't sleep at night. So I'd rather, I think I've reached that stage where I probably didn't, I don't need that kind of pressure or don't need that kind of, it takes over your life and it's got to take over your life, but I'm quite happy now having a less stressful life.
Okay. Who's the best coach that you've coached with or under?
Well, as a player, but also as a coach, right? As developing through as a coach, you kind of look at every coach that you've worked with and so you learn a little bit of all, and sometimes you learn what not to do as much as what you should do. And I would say my kind of style in a way is similar to Lynn Jones, who coached me when I came back to Nice from Rugby League. I just liked, being able to sort of switch people off with humour, but switch them on, because there's such a skill to have, not just as a coach, but as a player, because things happen in the game where it throws your concentration away, and you've got to find it again. And the way he did, and I know he just naturally did it. And I wouldn't say if you spoke to him whether it was something he was conscious of what he was doing, but it was something that I felt that was important, that you could throw a player right off the moment and then they pull it back. So that sort of can emulate moments in a game where, you get high moments or low moments, which your concentration may waver. Lynn was good. Ron Waldron then, when I was with Neath, really, really like a strict, and standards. It didn't make a difference who you were. We had some tough players in Neath, really tough. But, and if he said there was a 30 press-up situation, everybody was down doing 30 press-ups. So I liked that sort of more autocratic approach. And then I had a coach up in Rugby League, an Australian guy, and very, he was all empowering. He was, he wanted to know how you feel. He kind of let you run the session in a way, under his sort of structure, but he was sort of quite relaxed, quite letting you take the lead. Very similar to Tony Gray with the Welsh team at the time. And I can remember we trained on a Saturday morning, and we had a game on the Sunday with the league. It was Sunday games. You'd have a team run on a Saturday morning, and it was the international block. it was a Six Nations block at the time, so I was up in Workington, in the hotel we were staying, just a pub hotel, and we was watching the games, and he just rocked up and he goes, "Hi guys, yeah. Obviously he had a Welsh accent. Right guys, yeah. I was injuries. I said, oh yeah, a couple of bumps and bruises. Have you been icing them? Well, not really. He said, oh, I'll help you with that. And he went and got us all Foster's Ice. And then so we all drank Foster's Ice. And he goes, come on, Phillips, you tight Welsh bastard. You're around, get him in. And we sat there for all afternoon watching the Six Nations with the head coach, drinking 8 bottles of Foster's Ice, so you do. Anyway, I wouldn't recommend that coaches take their players out to get shit-faced before a game. I'm just saying that was his type of approach. We did win the next day, if you're of any interest, but so you just pick up a little bit of everyone. Some styles you like, some styles you don't.
Going back to Lynn Jones, you mentioned him first of all.
Yeah.
A lot of people call him the best coach that Wales never had. But a lot of, but when I do rugby evenings and the opening act for a lot of rugby speakers, a lot of them have stories about Lynn Jones. Most of them, are involved in nudity or sticking things up orifices.
Yeah.
So part of the reason, perhaps, why his face never fitted in terms of being a crazy gang mentality that he's brought to every side.
Yeah.
I remember one story we can tell. At London Welsh, when he just taken over coaching at London Welsh, all the players turned up to training, and he had about 20 odd cases of beer, which he gave to everybody. He told them to all go out in the piss, which they did. They couldn't believe it, their luck.
Yeah.
Team bonding, all go out in the piss, and then he texted them later on in the evening, training 7 o'clock in the morning. Some of them thought he was taking the piss, and he didn't turn up, and end up being
fined or whatever,
and banned for a few games. But that it's any stories of that sort of crazy gang back in Neath of the day?
Yeah, look, I think, you don't, as Lynn, right? He is an intelligent guy, right? And he's very, very shrewd, right? And getting the best of people. That's all you do as a coach. You're trying to get the best out of people. And sometimes that works, sometimes that works. I've known with Lynn before, they've turned up to Old Deer Park, it's raining, training's off, boys. Why? It's raining. And that was it. Like that type of thing. So, but it's not just because there's a different, he's probably checking to see how people react to it. That's the same, but with Lynn, I was best man for him in his wedding, and he was the best man for me as well. So I don't know Lynn well, but he was so many things around him. All these stories I tell or mention, he will deny them. Right, but I can remember when I first started with Neath, and we had a game on the Saturday, and it was a good gang. It was about 10 of us having a bit of a night out after the game in the clubhouse. And somebody bought a round of 10. Somebody else bought a round of 10. So I'm just about to step forward. He pulled me back. This was the start. This was kind of, this guy's super smart. He goes, no, wait. He said, because if you buy, because obviously he's going to get the 10th. If you buy the 9th pint, it's not coming around twice. Right, so you can get to 11, 12, 13. All right, so then that's it. You bought one round. I was like, oh, look, I'm not a cheap, great idea. I'm doing that. So I bought the 9th, he bought the 10th. And then when it was on his round, he was by the bar, and I walk into the toilet, and I can hear him go, could I have 1 pint of Stella, please, and 9 pints of the cheapest lager you've got? And I swear to you, I was going to the toilet, I looked back, and I said, Lynn, man. He said, oh, God. Yeah, can I have 2 pints of Stella and 8 pints of the cheapest lager you got? I'm thinking, that's all right. No, I've always had, but I just, the New Zealand won a World Cup with the line-out play, back ball, back down to a player coming through the middle of a line-out. That was something that Lynn brought into Neath. Duncan, we called it, because Duncan Jones was the carrier. So very, very, very innovative. Yeah, very good. He was smart. Not a guy, to make loads of notes, but would be able to deliver and adapt a session and tweak it and move it forward at the right time. So, yeah, I agree. I think the unfortunate thing there that some people who make those decisions have made decisions, and on people more on character than what they do as far as coaching is concerned. but he's head coach out in Holland. He's done Russia as a head coach. So, I don't think there's any other coach in Wales without that experience. I mean, so yeah, that would definitely be somebody that you'd think that they've definitely earned their opportunity.
Do you think you'd have the appetite for the Welsh job? He hasn't been mentioned, and I can't see it for some of the reasons that we've talked about. Do you think he'd be up to it and up for it?
Yeah, but
it's a poison chalice, isn't it? Whoever takes this role on.
It's mad because if you're going to now, I mean, this director of rugby or whatever, that's going to be the key role, right? But if you're going to step in now as a head coach of Wales at this moment, you're going to turn around to the union and say, right, I need a 6-year contract. If you want, don't judge me on 6 games, because the next 6 games could be as painful as the last 6. Give me 5 years, give me 6 years, give me a block of time. So if you think I'm good enough to lead this team, let me develop this team over a period of time. You can't turn around now, and we're mid-cycle going into a World Cup in a couple of years without a coach. Do you mean? So, and there was a lot of critics around Pivac when he took over. I mean, this first season, he still got a championship. Do you mean? And then they started losing games, then win a couple. So it was very, intermittent with wins, losses, all that stuff like that. And he was somebody that everybody wanted at the time. Now, it's
like a golden period now, doesn't it? The Pivac years.
Yeah. So the point is, as a coach now, there's it's difficult to get. If you get the right person, but he's got to have the right backing of the union, but also, a watertight contract for a period of time, because to turn this round is going to take a period of time. We had a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, or a little bit of a lift with the Ireland and Scotland second half. And they think, the door's slightly open, but it was shut yesterday. And the one thing we produce in Wales is we do produce very, very talented rugby players. What they produce in England is big, physical people, and the way the game has gone, the physicality at the moment wins.
Trying to play a game plan, certainly under Gatland, it doesn't suit us anymore. We haven't got a Jamie Roberts or Ryan Jones, those big ball carriers. We do have, speaking about the players then, we got, yesterday was the last set of internationals before the Lions tour.
Yeah.
Have we got any candidates? I mean, Jack Morgan looks almost a shoe-in.
Yeah, look, I know, and again, he was up against it yesterday, but yeah, not only that, you listen to him speaking afterwards, he is certainly, and I think everybody sort of went, that's a bit of a, left field, didn't see that come in. But he is definitely somebody that this Welsh team can be built around, definitely.
Can you imagine him in a good team, like in a South African pack or an England?
Yeah.
We said a lot about that game yesterday. What we can't dismiss is how good England were yesterday. They've been threatening to click for a while against some of the bigger teams, and unfortunately, if you're Welsh, it seemed to happen yesterday for them. If you can imagine Jack Morgan in their back row, had a field day.
Oh yeah, and it's how can I say it? If you look at, I've been thinking about this from yesterday's game, is that England clicked, right, but they didn't. It wasn't sort of like watching. To be fair, to watch Italy, it was not like watching Scotland, who got a certain flow to the game. They clicked because every time they carried the ball, they were crossing the gain line. Every time Wales carried the ball, they were finishing on or behind the gain line. A couple of carries obviously got over it, and so the click was that they dominated the collision. Didn't wow us with, they played the inside ball like a lot of teams been doing this last round really, around the ruck, and Pollock, the new cap, who's got his second try in there, and that's about the bit of innovation. The rest of it was just pure physicality. Even the winger who scored, I think it was the second try, he had no real right, but where we sort of had a bit of a cover tackle on him, but he just that sort of the physicality of getting across the gain line. So, England, their physicality certainly clicked. The flip side is, obviously, that's an area where we would need to be able to step up in. I mean, And that's why, you know, like Jack Morgan is still a young player, you know, and his best days of rugby are going to come years down the line, you know, but and he's going to get even more physical, right? But, you know, you've got to start, you just got to keep building. And you know, to be fair, the 20s, you know, they had a really, that was typical for me, a Welsh performance against English 20s.
They became so huge. Those boys are a different species almost, weren't they? The Irish guys are the same, the under 20s.
Yeah, that England pack under 20s, that could, and certainly the six, and I don't know any of the names, sorry, but that would be the biggest six in world rugby. It's got to be. They were huge. They were huge. But the chop tackle came in, that tenacity on the floor came in, that getting in your face came in, that Welsh, come on, you know, you're in our patch, yeah? You're in our patch, you know, coming down here across the bridge. And there was a real... So as Sherrod said in his post-match interview, I say there's shoots. There are some green shoots coming through, which is great. But the team at the moment is a green shoot. Dewi Lake would be another one who would certainly put his hand up over this championship. I know he was injured for the start of it, but coming in later, you know, he's a formidable player as well.
There's no competition in that place. So you got two very good Irish hookers, two very good English hookers. Yeah, you got Cherry of Scotland.
Yeah.
Do you think what might happen is what happened to Scotland a few tours ago, where perhaps we haven't got really many people who get there on a merit, that they might pick 3 or 4, if they're 50-50 decisions, might go the Welsh way just out of diplomacy?
I don't know. Yes, I guess it could happen, but I hope it didn't. You know, we'd like to think that, you know, it's such a big opportunity for players. You know, I'd be very, very disappointed. I wouldn't know, because selection, and people look at things differently. But if I wasn't selected because somebody got a leg up, just because we wanted to give that nation, but I would be surprised if Jack Morgan isn't on there. I would think Dewi Lake would definitely be an outside. I think that Blair Murray.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's
one of the unluckiest players in this tournament so far. The try set up for Faletau against Scotland.
Yeah.
And again, that one yesterday.
Yeah.
Which the TMO given, but the ref had overruled.
Yeah.
So that was criminal and perhaps didn't have a bearing on the final outcome. But at that point of the game would have been crucial.
Yeah. That would have been. And they got, but he has got that little bit of sprinkling of gold dust on him. He's got something, do you mean?
He's got a bit of a Shane Williams about him.
Yes.
He beat more defenders, set the record against Scotland for the amount of defenders beaten, more than even Shane managed to do in his career. Yeah. It was, again, could create something out of nothing.
Oh, no, I agree. And also with Farrell looking at the Lions, you could look who you're playing. You know, Australia. I mean, I'm sure when he'll pick his squad to go to Australia, would be different if he picked a squad to go to South Africa. You mean, and you know, so I think, you know, I certainly think there's a few people in there. Thomas Williams, I know it's been a tough champion. It's tough when you're going back a lot, but I mean, he's got experience. He is you know, a quality rugby player. So you know, he could be in the mix as well. You mean? I would have thought. But there we go. That's there's a lot of things to do, and that's Farrell's problem, not mine.
So we've won something this year. We've won the wooden spoon for the second time in a row. We mentioned Italy, losing to Italy.
Yeah,
cost Pivac his job.
Yeah,
it ultimately cost Warren Gatland his job this time.
Yeah,
the most depressing thing for me about Italy was they've beaten us before, but it's been plucky Italy.
Yeah,
they've had a good day at the office. We've had a bad day at the office.
Yeah,
the depressing thing these last 2 seasons is they were quite average against us. They just did a job and beat us. You've coached in Italy.
Yeah,
how do you find the Italian mindset of players differs from the Welsh mindset?
Well, it's differed from when I was out there to now. Right, but there's a couple of coaches. Andrea Moretti, who was the forwards coach with the national team. I coached with him in Viadana and Ironi before it became Zebra, and he had they call it the Anglo-Saxon way of thinking. So he understood the game, but having played in Worcester and you know, over in England, so he had a good understanding of the game. But you know, what Italy did, and I was out there coaching when, and I'd say 15 or 20 of those Italian players were in the squad in Ironia that I was coaching, you know, and the others were over in Benetton. So, but they were getting hammering. You know, the questions there were, you know, can you justify this? You know, why we've got this team here, why we've got this? And what they did, is they set up, because Italy's obviously a big place, right? They set up 2 national academies, right? I know obviously one's Parma North, and I don't know whether, I'm not going to say Rome because obviously it splits the country, but I'm not sure where the other one is. So 2 national academies, and they got 2 regions basically. They got Benetton and Zebra now, and that's what they've done. I think, you know, there's going to be questions, and you know, every week, every time we pick a newspaper up, you know, have we got too many regions? Have we got this, that, and the other? But there's certainly a drop off, or there's certainly questions to be asked around, you know, I think 2017, somebody said that the National Academy stopped, or something wrong with that time. And there's a marked difference from then. The 20s, sorry, this was the best results they've had since 2017 in this championship now. So, and that was when they disbanded the National Academies. So, you know, we're not going to, we can discuss it, but we're not obviously not going to but there's so many things that need to be looked at. You know, and you don't want to open the can of worms about, you know, are there too many regions? Does regional academy work? Should it be national academy? And et cetera, et cetera. But definitely on Friday night, something worked. And that was a fantastic effort, a fantastic win.
It was a great win.
Oh my God. And again, it's frustrating. But then the week before, you lose to Scotland, right? And Scotland could have beaten France, you know. So there's competition, you know. But it's just probably then belief, consistency, and that comes with results.
It does feel at one point when we beat the record for the amount of losses, I still felt like we were better than we were for a certain period in the 90s. That it wasn't the lowest point we've been. Perhaps it's because we're filming this the day after we just got shagged against England. Yeah. It does feel like almost like Loftus first felt sort of situation now where we got digged out there.
Points,
it's a record defeat against England. But as you say, there are green shoots, and I think there are. The appointment is important, almost more important as the director of rugby. Do you think?
Oh, absolutely, because you know there's got to be. You know, there's going to be some big decisions. There's going to be very unhappy people. Now, you know, I know a lot of people who work in the regions, and a lot of people who work in the academies in the regions. So there's, you know, and they're all good people, really good people, and they strive to be the best that they can bring this group through and stuff like that. But you know, it's somebody said we need to pump more money into the national team setup. But I think that's missing the point. I think, you know, like it's a kind of like a locust has gone past. You know, like say club rugby. You know, your grassroots rugby has just been churned away. You know, there's no. You know, I remember playing for Neath in the 80s, right? And if I or myself or other players got injured, right? Or coming back from injury, we would go, because we could go straight down to Neath Athletic thirds and play a game of rugby, all right? And I was competitive. You know, I did learn the hard way. I did score 3 tries in one of those games and had to do Yard of Ale. But it took me longer to do the Yard of Ale and didn't score 3 tries. Oh my God, that's one of the worst things I've had to do. One of the worst things, of course. But you are Neath Athletic now have themselves had a resurgence, right? So they're good, you know, they're coming together and good young players coming through. But you had a first, you had a second, you had a third team. Now teams now are, I mean, every week there's loads of games off because teams haven't got players, you know, and you've got old players coming back to help out, and you know, and all that stuff like that. So it's sort of, you know, it's still going to be the foundations that need to be right.
Yeah,
you mean?
The opposite viewpoint to the one you said about putting more money in, and it's almost like they've been spraying the flowers and not watering the grassroots.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where they think these players come from in order to go into your academies and then your regional teams. It does seem like the WRU have completely neglected the local club structure.
Oh, I mean, something's gone terribly wrong for me, right? But it's like I remember I'm from St David's, right? So West Wales like that, and played, and I was lucky to play like schools under 16s and 18s. So you've had a little bit of a taste that there's a big world outside past Haverfordwest. Good God, Carmarthen, is this the capital? You know what I mean? So you get a little taste of it, right? But then I got invited. I trained one summer with Llanelli, but I played for Pembroke, and I got invited to Neath. Oh my God, it was like the whole area, like the whole region around our house in Crutchgoch, Trevine, all that. Whoa, this is a massive honour for the little village here, and it was like I can't believe it. I mean,
I've got a statue of you there, haven't they?
Well, yeah. Well, it's not my best work, but but I did try my best. First time I've done smelting, but they had. What the point I'm trying to make is that was a massive honour to go and play for Neath, and then you just. That's when you do your hard yards, and then maybe you get a chance of something. And I was told by somebody who was very, very close friends with Clive Rowlands, the late great Clive Rowlands, who was a physio with us, and physios at the time they weren't qualified.
Magic sponge,
and just a bag with the same water in that we've had all season.
And the HIE assessment is how many of my 3 fingers am I holding up? 3.
Yeah, well done. And he said, and I always had a problem with my calves like that. And Rugby goes, I spoke to Clive. You've been picked for and it was a Wales B tour to Italy. Italy. You've been picked for the tour. But don't say nothing yet. It's not coming out till next Monday. I was like, oh my God. We all had to put letters in. Everybody who played for the Premiership put letters in about availability. So I was like, oh my God. So the Monday came, and the way it was announced is that you rang the union, and it was an automated, voice telling the squad to go to Italy is, and there was the Wales B squad to go to Italy is this. So I'm going, so I'm like, oh, here we go. I got, shh, everybody. It's like 6 a.m. Quiet, everybody. All my imaginary friends were there. So I'm like, all right, here we go. And it's one thing you'll know, if you're walking on the street and somebody shouts, Paul, you can turn around and so you're going to recognise your own name. I went through the list. I was like, for some reason, this automated message is wrong. So I thought, I must have missed my own name. Put it down, ring it back again. I wasn't even selected for it. Gutted. But that was like, he was like a young kid, like a dreaming young kid of getting the chance, and that was the feeling. But I think, again, without falling into the trap of regional rugby and all that stuff, because everybody come back and say, yeah, but all our success of the Grand Slams have been through regional rugby and all that stuff. But I don't know. I'd like to think there is out there, but I can only speak for myself. That dream as a young kid of wanting and each level becomes really important and means something. So losing that club feel, and whether you get plucked as a 15-year-old out of school and your club to go to play for your region, and you're in under 16s or under 18s, whatever it is, and then you're sort of you're a good player, great player, and you train with them for the week, and then get a chance and play against the Scarlets, and play all those regional games, and then at the end of the season, you haven't quite made the cut, and then you've got a player then who's been sort of part of a different team, away from his own growth team, if you know what I mean, and then they, just feels that they lose that kind of association with their club, and that's where then becomes that block of the emotion of what going through the structure to play for Wales is, you've lost your club feel. So I know, that'd be a lot of things. A lot of youth teams disbanded, a lot of youth teams pulling together to make teams, which is okay, but there's a lot of things that I see that that wouldn't have worked for me as a person who kind of dreamt about getting to the next level and doing.
Even as a supporter, I mean, first of all, I'm glad Neath Athletic didn't have a thirds when I was playing for them. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been playing for the seconds. But I see what I mean. Even as a supporter and that emotional connection with like Neath, I never felt that for the Ospreys. The guttural Neath chants. Certainly can't expect people from Pontypridd to go down a few miles to Cardiff and shout for the blue and black team called Cardiff RFC now.
Yeah,
it's a completely different.
Yeah, it is, and like these obviously debates and discussions have been going on over 10 years. Since it started. I was actually down in Swansea, and they had I went down as representative of Neath as a business lunch. Obviously, you're going back now because of Moffat was there, and there was all these people, and it was quite rowdy. We were having food, a couple of beers, and he stood up and he said, "This time next year, Wales will have," and he said, 5 regions. Obviously, the
Warriors to begin with.
Yeah, the Warriors and was included in that, and everybody sort of went like, well, what's he drinking? Like, you know what I mean? What's he drinking? And then that's the reality, And then obviously the Warriors, after becoming the most successful in their short existence, that got thrown out because it was unsustainable apparently. And then, about we're reaching that saturation point again, because if teams, your club team, can't generate a first team, let alone a second or a third team, youth teams are dropping off because we're merging 3 teams to make a team. How then, and a drop off of players because they may have been sold the dream and it didn't work out and they've lost their association with their old club. How then can we now keep sustaining the top end if hasn't changed? The only thing that's changed is everything below it. So like it's going to be big debates. There's going to be a lot of questions asked, a lot of things around how it works. But I think there's going to have to be some really, really tough conversations and painful decisions. But we've and we just want to get a W. I mean, we just want to, Wales. We're winning. We are winners. We're naturally winners. We want to win.
We've always punched above our weight.
Yeah.
I just feel, and when we were first in the world, not that long ago, before the Japanese World Cup, we had no right to be. I think it was exactly what you were saying. Yeah, we had, because of the amount of population, the amount of teams, the amount of players, and all that. No, we had no right to be, but we were. And we were because we match talent with physicality. We have got talent. We got abundance of talent. It's just that at the moment we can't, we can't arm wrestle with those real physical teams, and certainly not over 80 minutes. We can have a 40-minute block here or 20-minute block there or whatever, but it's quite difficult, or it is very difficult, as results will suggest, to be able to wrestle with them for 80 minutes. Okay, so I mentioned the referee's decision, which cost us a try against England, and another one that cost us a try against Scotland. Referees, it's a thankless job, so I don't think we'll sort of go over. It's low-hanging fruit, isn't it? Take the piss out of referees.
Yeah.
I'd like to bring up one. Nigel Owens, one of the greatest referees probably anywhere in the world of all time.
Yeah.
What you've worked with him in broadcasting. What did you make of Nigel Owens?
Well, I think we can. I mean, when I started playing beneath, Clive Nolan was the showman. He was a brilliant ref. Anyway, he knew how to kind of keep the game going, and it frustrated some, like Brian Thomas, my father-in-law, that he'd always make it a 36, 32 type of game so that it was entertaining. But with Nigel, hands down, right, he's the best ref in the world ever, right? And I just wish I could remember what else he told me to say. No, he's 100 appearances, and it's tough, thankless job. Traveling the world, going to every part of the world for free, staying in the best hotels, never having to go into a ruck or a mall or tackle anybody. So yeah, it is a thankless job. Fair play to him. No, I like a lot of respect for Nigel. He's and not only the rugby, but it's, with this TV work and not so much as Nos on Low and stuff, because that was his early days. But I remember working on the Jonathan show with him, and we were allowed at that time to have a bit of banter. So I could have a bit of banter. Normally would be a little eye look at what he said, or a bit of this, that, and the other. So I've got a lot of time for him. But I remember, and Nigel actually came out on the show, on the Jonathan show. And I'm not saying that he's not a very good actor, but when he did it to the song "I Am What I Am," and this is all on the Jonathan show, you can watch the recording, people just looked at it thinking, what's going on here? And then they had to explain to the audience what was going on. They had to do it again, and they had to look, well, they were shocked anyway, or pleased, but so that was awesome for him, right? And it just that was certainly changed his life, and I think the key thing was, without being not flippant at all, but it was like no one really minded, it wasn't like you weren't, it was like everybody was like celebrating that, he'd found the confidence within himself, so there was no issues at all. And then I remember we played Aberafon Boxing Day. No, I think it was the autumn game, right? Good crowd of the Knoll. This is when I was coaching Neath. And Nigel's a very, very shrewd, your dad, this is not soccer, so he knew, he knew how to manage situations. So as somebody who I know, and he knew me obviously, that you wouldn't be able to kind of manipulate him, to influence him to change, to affect the game. Right? You wouldn't be able to. I mean, like, he's too professional for that, and too sharp to read into if you are trying that. So I could see him warming up over there. I was the club side beneath on the Knoll.
He did accept the envelope full of cash.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I waved it at him and then said after, and then obviously when he had it was just an envelope. But no, what I did, right? I could see him. He was stretching over the other side, cricket side of the Knoll. We were warming up by the clubhouse, so I just took a stroll over, and Aberafon were over the other side of the pitch. And I said, right, Nigel, yeah, good. All right, looking forward to it. Yeah, usual, just a bit of banter. So I thought, he is sharp, right? And I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm a little sharper. We'll have a go. So I said, I can't believe it. I mentioned one of the players for Aberafon, and I said, he came up to me before the game. I said, he came up to me earlier, I said, Nigel, and said, you got your boyfriend ref in today, because we were on the Jonathan show together. And I said, that's, I can't believe he said that. And Nigel looked at me and said, oh, did he now? Right? Oh, did he now? And we beat Aberafon 80-0 on the Knoll, right? But you've always got to find a different way of influencing the referee. Obviously, no Aberafon players even mentioned anything to me, but I was quite happy to, to deceive, to pass on false information. But I've had working with Nigel. He is a fantastic guy, and he was obviously took a bit of a career move from refereeing to farming, but I suppose there are a few similarities to what he was doing as a professional ref in the WIU and now farming, so it's still
a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said it. Yeah, so he was good. A lot of good refs out there anyway, but he could sort of. You've got to have a little bit of showmanship, and certainly he got plenty of that. And quality ref as well. You knew when either if you were playing or if you were. But he did ref a cup final once, and Pontypridd at the stadium, and we lost that game. And there was a rule there: if a scrum gets sort of wheeled over 90, then his head turn over, and something happened there. And obviously emotions at the time, and that was quite a long lift journey up to the second tier to get the medal presentation. And Nigel made the mistake of jumping into our lift. Mm-hmm. and I wasn't very happy.
He was a good custodian of the game as well, and of the values. He'd often say, "This isn't soccer," when somebody was doing a bit of a dive or a bit of play acting. So I think he was a good good guardian of the game, and the difference of sometimes I think a good referee can ruin a game.
Yeah,
But I remember Derek Bevan, the next game after reffing the World Cup final, he refereed a game I was playing for Neath Colts at the time. And my entire career to that point had been based on cheating in the scrum. Of scrummaging at an angle. Got away with it all throughout youth. And then a good referee, first scrum, pinged it. And
was it?
Completely fucked that game up for me then.
Like that. What were you, tight to loose head?
Tight head.
Number 3, put your feet back on the floor, please. Put your feet back on the floor. No, I'm talking about front row. I remember, and it is linked to refereeing. We went out to Valencia with Wales back in the 80s as a bit of a long weekend, summer camp thing, but also a game at the end of it. And I ended up playing. I was with Moriarty. We were rooming together, and it was tough training every morning. Because I'm sure Ron Waldron might have been the coach then, but we were running. Not Dean Ryan. He did pass away not long ago. Oh God, this will have to be edited. John Ryan. John Ryan was the coach. And we were out running in the morning, every morning, up and back like that, and along the front of Valencia, miles and miles and back, and breakfast, and it was all really professional. And we got to the game, and they'd only just introduced yellow cards, only just. And Mike Griffiths, the prop for we were probables against possibles. And Mike Griffiths I was in the probables then. Thank you. And Mike Griffiths, the prop, and got carded. We took our own ref over there. Les Peard, carded off 10 minutes. And it wasn't like, well, now you've got to make a front row change. It wasn't like, you've got to take a winger off or a back row off and bring a prop on. It was like scrum. And I'm like that. I'm thinking, looking around thinking, my God, is there someone on my shoulder? Why are they all looking at me? And it was like, I had to go in.
The fattest back row.
Yeah. I had to go in and scrummage against Staff Jones. And I'd be honest here, right? I was the only person that could see my own house from Valencia. Oh my God, right? And to be fair to him, he did say afterwards, haha. No, he didn't say that. He said, I'm a prop, you're a back row. And it's a trial. So I've got to, I'm not going to take a step back just to be nice. I got to do it. I said, as I came out back into consciousness, okay. No, it was so that was my first experience with the refereeing of a yellow card. But look, I think Nigel, I think he made his life has gone really well and good for him. So yeah.
So he came out on the Jonathan show with you. Do you think?
No, I didn't come out.
Do you think being Wales's answer to Richard Gere that had an impact on his? On his life decision.
Yeah. So you're talking about him, though, yeah?
Yeah. I'm talking about you with the hamsters up the arse.
So I can't. I'm fidgety, and I going back to refereeing, right? Sorry to jump back. So I just jumped to my mind. I probably we played back in mid '80s, Gloucester away in Kingsholm, right? And we picked up 2 boys from Bryn Ferry on the way with Neath, right? We were playing all the English teams all the time, and we were all over them, right? Yours truly. No, I had a couple of tries. No, but it was we were all over them, but we lost, right? And it was like, oh my God, and you'd never want to accuse, and it was like, oh my, it was so bad, the officiating, that we lost the game, and it was like, we were so angry because we were a team that was winning, going to Leicester, and they were an England team, basically, star-studded, going there, winning, Sale, and all these top teams just winning. Wasps, I remember going up to Wasps and putting about 40, 50 points on them. And so we're there now in Gloucester, King's Home like that, before they had the new stadium, obviously. And everybody's walking off, clapping them off like that, and I'm having a drink like this, and the ref walks past, and I'm like that. And he looked at me like that, and I just went, you know, as if like, oh, just a joke, you know, I was just messing, like, oh my, I didn't, and when you reflect back, I was probably about 19, and I was thinking of that was
good 10 years ago now.
Yeah, thank you very much. Soon. But I couldn't believe it. I like when you think afterwards. So I was in the change room like that, and then he came in and
wiped the floor.
Oh my God. Yeah. So, but he seemed to be a bit aggressive like that. So I had the bottle. I was like, you know, like that. No, but it was. Imagine doing that now. Imagine like referee over. You'd get a fucking season's ban or something. Oh my God. Yeah. So, but there was no isotonic in it, so they wouldn't have burnt the eyes.
So before we finish, then I want to give a quick shout out to the Problematic Pub podcast for allowing us their studios today. They blocked off all their symbols, so they're not associated with us in any way, shape, or form. But I told a story on there as a guest about the Duke in Neath, which is a haunt of both of ours, and it's an iconic pub in Neath, and it's also got a special part within. Certainly during the period that you were coaching at the Knoll, it was a rite of passage for the players to go there. I told a story, which I won't repeat now, about Louise the mannequin. And it was got a Brazilian strip who Tony, who runs the Duke, had the foresight to cover in chili sauce at one point. So 20 years later, there'll be a couple of idiots licking it. But so any stories, and Adam Jones mentions it in his autobiography of you know, wild nights at the Duke. Have you got any recollections of the Duke with Neath Rugby?
Look, well, I mean, first of all, it was just sort of years and years ago, back again now, so I keep referring to the 80s, but back in the early 80s, like that, it's been bouncing over the years, right? And went in there, we used to go like Greyhound, a few pubs on the way in, and then calling the Duke, and that was always heaving like that. But you know, you sort of like, you know, you get sort of that sort of, I like this place. You know, there's and I like it. I like it so much, really, because nobody wants to talk about rugby. Like, you know, you're not like, oh, what are they going to game today? You know, they like sort of don't care. They've got no interest in rugby. And Tony, he's got Ferrari, he's got Italy, and you know, he's quite happy with that. He's not, you know, he knows his rugby, but he's not interested like that. And when I was coaching Neath then, when regional rugby started, that was part of the, you know, like, I'd be like, right, you know, like we're going through town, like from the rugby club, like, right, and then do you know what? He'd be like, right, boys, Duke, right? And on the word Duke, that's all I hear behind me is, oh no, like that.
They're not going to meet women there, these young lads. They want to go and...
they want to...
It's just a drinking hole.
But I'll be honest here, right? You know, I was then just sort of coming down following the boys down, and they were naturally going into the Duke, right? There's something about it. And Tony's got that, you know, he knows his crowd. He can put the song on and get them going, and get them going. And we went in there on a cup final night. We were late because it was a late kickoff. We were up the club too late, then went down there. Thought, I pushed it too late now, and walked in. It was still lights on in there, quiet, and then oh my God, he pumped it up, right? And the boys had a night of their life. So, you know, like Tony, the landlord, the owner, he just sort of sits up on his decks, and he's just sort of, you know, like a remote control. He's just controlling everything.
Human algorithms, isn't he? Like YouTube does do, and sends you what you want. He's a genius at it.
Yeah, you know, the Ospreys, when they used to go around doing their end of season you know, they'd go to a pub in Swansea, a pub in Bridgend, and a pub in Neath. And Neath was always the one, you know. And so you've had, you know, some of the greats of rugby, not just us. You know, Stefan de Blanche sitting in the Duke there,
scruffiest pub in Neath.
Yeah, Philo Tia. You had Gavin Ensign. You had they're all Paul James, a local boy. But it's just one of those things. Once you go there and once you get it, it's got you. You know what I mean? And no, I've loved it there, and it's always good to on those trips with the watching the Ospreys go around, just sit back and watch Gavin Ensign fighting with people.
It seems some stars. I've run a comedy club there for years. I've had like Rufus Hound, Milton Jones, some top comedy legends. All initiated, doing the Chili initiated. Paul Sinner, who's the guy from The Chase. He's also a really good stand-up comedian. Remember bringing him there, and we racially profiled him a bit, thinking Indian heritage, that he's gonna enjoy these chilies. Absolutely knocked him sideways.
Oh, was it?
And
I've seen people going, Tony, put Neil Diamond on, or put the Dexter guy next thing, he put a song on like that. Tony, what's this shit? I want Neil Diamond. He's like, it's Neil Diamond. Not his, because most people just know the one song. And I've seen boys there. I've seen them there. I remember James Story, who was playing for Neath and then the Ospreys, brought his mate down, and his mate just fell asleep in the chair. And so he gets get the paint out, and I'm thinking, he's going to feel this, you have paint his face. So he's like, just sort of lifts his head like that. I'm thinking, how is he going to do this? He's like, paint. This guy's like this, like that. And I'm just thinking, I can't get him. He's like gone. Like, so the next thing he goes to get, because he used to have chili from America, isn't it? It's called like Death by Chili, and it turns up in a coffin, and you slide the lid, and out it comes like that. You got to wear like proper furnace gloves to open it, like I said, and evacuate the pub when you open it. And there's one person sleeping there, and he'd be like straw straight across the mouth like that. And then you think, oh my God, and then another one just to make sure that this, like one. Even smell of it's going to kill you, but let's try again. And then like and then just bump them, and they're like look, and then they're like this to the eye, and then they're blind, and then they go to the toilet, and they have a piss, and then they're coming out, and they're dousing water down there. Oh my God, it's a playground. It's a playground, and the music is exceptional.
Anybody sees pictures online of it, they'll see the old buddleia tree that was growing up the chimney, and then he put Christmas decorations on it one year, and then the council forced him to cut it down. And I remember he had a ceremony, and you actually ceremonially cut it. And then for months after that, he was making a liqueur, and it was from the flowers from the buddleia. So I was drinking this. I remember a couple of years passed by, and I thought, what the fucking Tony? How much did you get out of this tree? And he's like, oh no, it's not the one that we took off the chimney. It's the one from out the back. And I was like, the piss monster bush out the back. Everybody's been pissing on for the last 20 years.
I remember like that big. I'd go out upstairs to his flat, climb out onto the roof. He'd had like one of those cutters on a long thing, because it was up there near the chimney, and there was about 80 people or 90 people just standing around watching me cut it like that, right? And I'm doing it as a favour, I'm close with Tony, the Duke, and we're here. And I've been booed many times in my life, but that was no, he's asked me to do it, and it went. I not only that, and it went down, landed on the floor, but Tony's got a photograph of it, and then where it's bounced up, right? And so it's hit the floor and bounced back up, and then gone down again. And then the photo was taken there, and he's like, this is a spiritual moment with this tree that's been killed. It's come back up on its end like that to show the world that I've been defied. This is like the resurrection moment. And as it hit the floor, Andy, who used to have the eyes of a mate, with his boy who came down in the car to watch the ceremony, drove over it. Up the curb over the tree. But no, I can't say enough. Tony just runs a top place, and as a rugby person, there are lots of times you just don't want to talk about rugby, and he's quite happy to do that as well.
It's the ultimate dive bar, isn't it? And it's not for everybody for that reason. But if you go on to TripAdvisor, one of the first reviews on there, give it like a 0 star. I asked for ice with my drink, and I was told this is not a gay bar.